UmTi here with his favorite Lee Sin. We'll see how it does go as game number 2 is going to start right now. Let's hop into it.
Kingzone fans might have been a bit too much on the soju at the after party because they are very quiet today. Sad to hear. They usually got a massive fan base.
The good old 3-day hangover.
Hey, we've all been there, right? It's not just me.
I found that when I got older, it turned from 1 day to sometimes 2. Yeah. You know how it leaks into the next morning? You're like, ugh, what's going on?
You did the thing where if you read between the lines, you're calling me even older. So thanks for that, by the way. KT.
I just hadn't heard of a 3-day one before, but...
you haven't heard of a Rift Rivals after party then, apparently.
Oh, boy.
But Rift Rivals Hangover on display in game number 1 from Kingzone. But I want to... This draft is definitely one that doesn't leap off the page for Kingzone. But I would say their draft against IG, we were very clear, is that was the sort of draft where lost at draft would have been the post-game threat analysis on it. You look at Kingzone's draft, it has a strong, powerful 2v2 on the bot side. Karma can have priority on Azir, but it can go wrong with a gank. I think Karma's kind of like top lane Jason to a lot of matchups in this particular matchup. And KT just straight up have priority in the Victor lane up top after kind of level 2-3. But Kingzone were able to win with that draft against IG by playing smarter, by being aggressive around what their jungler could do, which is the Karthus in that game. So we're going to have to remain unconvinced for now, especially after a very awkward game number 1 from Kingzone. But they're the sort of team that can pilot these drafts that look wonky on paper, that have a lot of asterisks, because when they're playing on form, they are one of the best in Korea.
After that game 1, not 100% sure what to expect. We're kind of hoping that they, shake their head and say, okay, wait, let's wake up now. We don't want to drop a series here to the team in 9th place currently.
The X is on the Victor top and the Karma mid. Both these champions really nice in the laning phase with flash up, flash goes down, and suddenly they find it very hard to lane, especially Victor in top lane, right? We've seen this matchup on the international stage multiple times. We had it at Worlds last year. It's a swingy matchup. Victor wins the matchup early because when he pushes and harasses with one ability, his E, the cannon can only auto-attack. So he does actually have winning trades more often than not, whether it's the Q for the power transfer or the E. But with flash down, is quite immobile on the top side.
See that Cuzz was going for the pseudo full clear. He is going to be right on time for that Rift Herald. Or not the Rift Herald, the Rift Scuttler. No Shelly just yet. We need to wait 6.5 minutes for that one. As he's even going for a little bit of an invade now, looking for the Gromp, as he saw the timing of the Lee Sin on the ward there at the Raptors and said, hey, there's no way he was able to do the Gromp at this time.
Playing around priority, like we mentioned. Cuzz is good with his lanes in this particular regard. I want to mention that Rascal went Unsealed Spellbook on the cannon rather than any sort of damage rune. I think this is actually smart because you go level 6 minutes in, you just swap your teleport for an Ignite, and then you're basically threatening a jungler gank at all times, right? And all in that Victor finds it much harder to deal with than the standard range trades in the laning phase. So
like Ornn.
Yeah, exactly. The Ornn solo kills were real, right?
Yeah.
Even into the Jace matchup, more often than not. The solo kills harder, but the lane pressure will be there, and if you don't have an Ignite, you do just lose out on trades increasingly when first Hex score piece is picked off. So I actually like it here because you're not going to be winning trades early anyway, so airy little isn't going to matter. But it does give you options. The game goes on, and Cuzz also going into, not the Conqueror that you'll see sometimes from the Rek'Sai, Hail of Blades, most early presence. He is the champion who has the ability to swing some lanes that are kind of potentially swingable. There are snowball lanes on both sides.
And you may be happy to see Deft back on the Lucian if you were watching Rift Rivals. Had a huge pop-off moment that time around.
KT has 5 stopwatches. This 8.1, we're back to 5 stopwatches. Yeah. Wow, that's a lot of stopwatches. All of them from the perfect timing rune. People have been moving away from utility tree a little bit recently after the boots nerf and things like that, but That is against like something like Karthus, you might understand it, but kind of a surprising choice against Kingzone's lineup.
Yeah, I mean, you have a couple of ultimates that you can kind of time through, right? The Kennen, even the Rek'Sai, you can dodge it there. If you got the bullet hell going on from the side of Deft and TusiN, you can kind of avoid a lot of the damage, so I suppose it's not that bad.
I mean, stopwatch is never categorically bad, but as a rune, you'd hope there were better runes than it. People always ask me, you know, on my stream, what do you think about stopwatch? I think it's ruining the game, seeing 10 stopwatches during a game. I believe the stopwatch you pay 600 gold for has a really powerful effect, and I like it. The free one I've never been a huge fan of. So 5 of them here suggest that KT didn't feel like they were giving up something in another rune tree to get it. And that's kind of where I want other runes to be brought up in power, and for stopwatch to be a luxury that you pick on, say, GP if you want to play weak side and get turret dived a lot, rather than literally everything.
Literally everybody for KT, nobody on the side of Kingzone wanted to pick up that rune, just going into other stuff. Even Rascal, who did go the unsealed spell, but didn't pick that up along the way.
Farm here, which I think KT is really happy about. If you show up at 2-item Azir, 2-item Kalista, Kingzone are going to have the sickest outplay or bait play and just make it not about a 5v5, because it's very tricky to win. 6 minutes has elapsed, and there is that Ignite that we alluded to on Rascal's side.
You'll have a fun time. None of the junglers going for any real ganks so far. I think UmTi was kind of hanging around mid for one moment, but other than that, just farming. Cuzz has been farming a little bit better in the jungle. You can see he's 3 camps ahead currently. Went back and bought that Caulfield's Warhammer.
You always pronounce Caulfield's Warhammer like a New Yorker.
Yeah, but nothing else. Just that word.
Well, how do you say coffee? Do you say coffee?
I'm not that bad. I do that as a joke sometimes for people.
Do you say
know.
Mario instead of Mario?
Yeah, it's Mario.
There you go. See? So the only one you don't say is coffee.
Coffee. It's like a little bit. You get like a little up and down.
What is that? What is that called? Because I know that there's a southern drawl, right? I know that word for the kind of southern accent. Is there a word for the New York kind of different intonation on those words?
I don't think so. There's nothing that pops in my mind. I don't think that I've heard a specific descriptor for it. Just a New York accent or like a Brooklyn accent or something like that.
Because I know people find it very hard to kind of pick where you're from. You know,
yeah.
The American part is there, but you know, you've got your Cuban influences that I don't think a lot of people know about. You've got the New York thing going on. Who is Brendan Valdez? If I ask you, like, what is your heritage, or like, what is your creed? Like, what is it?
Is this the beginning of the podcast? Should we start the recording here? As
I'm asking. That's what we're doing here. Like,
yeah.
How do you
get
pitch
the
yourself?
introduction going?
What is the 2-line kind of introduction to Brendan Valdez, the human?
I don't know. Born and raised in New York.
Okay.
Longtime gamer, hockey player. Played for 15 years.
Oh, hockey makes the first 2 lines. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive part of my life, right? I spent so many years of my youth playing that one sport, trying to do really well. So there's that. I mean, obvious caster, play-by-play, right? That's kind of the new page, right? The new chapter that's coming in.
It's adding up, though. You've been a caster for quite a few years, right? At this point,
yeah.
At least a quarter of your life. So
it depends. You know, I don't know where you would put the official start, right? Because actually I might have to hold the phone here as Cuzz is being a scout, but
no.
Who am I kidding? It's the LCK.
Oh, it's a wrong number. It's a wrong number.
Yeah.
Put the phone down.
Sorry about that. But okay, trade up in the top side. Stun gonna come in. And the bullet hell is real. Gray gonna have to flash away from that one. UmTi comes in. And of course, nobody's gonna die. As, yeah, so I did my first cast in 2012. But 2014 was when I was doing it full time. When I started doing Pro League for StarCraft 2 with Wolf.
That's fair. I guess 5 years then. So it wouldn't be quite a quarter of your life just yet. I guess it's always hard because most of us started as amateur casters or one-off event casters or online casters, and it's always hard to draw your lines. I usually say I started here and I was full-time here is kind of how it goes. But, okay, that's interesting. That's the 2-line there.
Yeah, I mean...
the Cuban side is the part that I find the most... I had no idea until
my name
me.
is Valdez, right?
You're right.
Including my name that I use for my caster ID.
But that's like, that side isn't obvious to me. Like, the last name is kind of askew to the otherwise the persona you have.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Also, as an Australian, obviously not a lot of interaction with... The only time I hear the name Cuban is when it's talking about the cigars. So
yeah.
That's all I know.
How about Fidel?
That's true. You know, his name is...
You know about him?
Once in a while. When
Yeah.
we talk about this game once in a while, probably, maybe.
Hey, this is going to be our best chance yet. It's Deft coming
Okay.
in, and a huge ultimate here from Rascal, getting the fight started, but UmTi trying to kick Deft in, but Kingzone super far ahead in this fight, and nowhere for Smeb to hide. BDD not looking nearly as dominant, but as I say that, picks up a kill, but that's still going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of Kingzone.
Let's put a Cuban flag in the lull state. It all looked like we were going to be farming up, but suddenly the territory is claimed. The Flash, only level 9. It's not like the Slicing Maelstrom can stun up everyone. It does enough work, and KT just weren't ready for that Kingzone turn-on around 11 minutes into the game. We finally found what will cause the action. You mentioned Fidel, the action happens.
Maybe we can use that in the future, as they saw Rascal.
Well, you remember the last time that you influenced a broadcast when you apologized for being excited about KT.
That's true.
It's kind of fitting that KT is in this game. We talked about how KT really have a strong team fighting comp at 1-2 items. They're not done yet. We still have constituent parts. And that's why Kingzone chose a timing where the big shields coming through from the Karma are still relevant. It's a cheap first item. The Athene's done from the Karma. And it gets a nice lead here for Kingzone before KT Rolster's really team fight ready.
That is a Monka-S big bar up there in the top side for Rascal as a cool 45 damage.
What do you reckon that was? That
Yumi did more damage.
I'm guessing that was a piercing light. That doesn't do a lot of damage.
It would have had to be, right?
Does the enemy have any shield? I guess he could have hit some damage into SnowFlower's shield. That doesn't register as damage to champions.
Yeah.
But that's not a lot of damage.
He used the culling, though.
Well, it was the dulling this time. Kind of like
The
this
dulling.
early game. But
Yeah.
what do you prefer? Game number 1, where there was a lot of mistakes, but not necessarily lots of... Because obviously everyone wants kill a minute, but
Yeah.
game number 1 had more action, but a lot of mistakes. This time we're just getting one cool play, and maybe a second. You never know.
I mean, if I won a game 1, I would just watch NA, so... I don't
Well.
need to, you know, we got a reason for that. As Kingzone now are just making it look like they're rift. They're getting the bottom side, where they do have this priority also. Drake is going to go their way. The Ocean Drake going to be pretty nice. But BDD is still trying his hardest to carry. He's got the 1 kill and is also pushing the mid lane.
Now, it's still trying to be the dominant force you can be on the Rex side early game. It's allowing the turret plates to go down. Will they be able to snipe out the 4th? Deft's going to greed for it, knowing Cuzz is here, but BDD aware of Cuzz's influence. However, it's post-turret plate. That's just some sweet gold into the pockets of Deft, who will have his first item, Essence Reaver, on next back.
Proto Belt gets you a very nice clear here. This is all going to be lost, actually.
Happy to know that Korean casters can speak up about regional pride after doing something. You chose your moment smartly, Valdez.
This is the first thing that came to mind, right? So, there you go.
NA caster.
Yeah. You mentioned I was American.
Yep.
Had to throw the shots. I'm not quite going to go Dracos and make a rap track about it, but who knows? Maybe someday. I remember Crumbs. Do you remember he was talking about making a band out here?
Crumbs is very serious about making a band when he was over here as your co-caster in 2017 summer. Related to that, who would be our rap representative? Who do we send of our group of 4?
I feel like none of us fit the bill.
Maybe
like,
you
not
send
even
me,
close.
ironically. Maybe I go there because I'm the last person you would expect. Drop the beats, but I agree. I don't know, maybe Atlas?
Maybe?
He could go for like a kind of ethnic Aussie kind of thing, even though he doesn't
Ethnic
actually come from that background. He could try to Aussie it up. He'd probably have to get censored a lot if it was an NA broadcast, though.
I think, no, he'd just have to be the bass guitarist, though. Right? He
Never call someone the bass guitarist.
No, I mean, he just fits the bill really well. It's not an insult or anything like that.
No, it is an insult.
I feel like he would just look really cool playing the bass guitar.
Has anyone ever been complimented by
or
being
the drummer?
called a bass
Okay, he
guitarist?
could be the drummer,
That's
actually.
much better.
The drummer, yeah.
You're the bass guitarist of our casting crew, Brendan Valdez.
Hey, don't say that. Insulted on live broadcast. Just LCK things. As, yeah, another culling, just Deft angry at the Nautilus very much this game. He wants to boost his damage stats. And, yeah, I mean, we just had the one fight where Cannon did his thing, and that was about it. Wow.
I mean, it happens. That one is kind of understandable. Does mean that he protects his Q, the 60 mana, was swapped for his control ward living. Actually a good trade. Look at you nodding your head there. Appreciative.
Yeah, I get it.
If I'm going to be honest, though, kind of the coolest thing to come out of Rip Rivals is two. The first one was walking over with the Korean analyst desk and everyone else of the production side that was watching and seeing tears and kind of genuine excitement about winning.
Yeah.
For some of those stuff, like Minikim and Jisun was talking about, it's kind of the first time during their professional careers. But selfishly, the other side was kind of all the love Atlas got for his cast on Reddit and all the public acknowledgement. Like, it wasn't easy for him.
He deserves it, man.
Exactly.
That cast was awesome. And been doing a fantastic job here for a long time.
And that's the thing. Like, he's been a pro caster. You know, he signed his first full-time casting gig in 2014. He was casting before then. So that was the first time he really got recognized. And it was something I love to see because there was a lot of love for me last year, but it was a lot of Papa and his co-caster, right?
Yeah,
It's so great to see.
You couldn't tell the difference between us.
And now people can.
Yeah.
And it's weird they couldn't because they had an Aussie and a Caulfield's American over here.
Caulfield's war.
But I love seeing, you know, everyone recognized for their unique contribution. Everyone, including you and LS, has gotten their props. And we're a team out here. You know, it's not a one-man show, so it's really nice to see that side. So selfishly,
Absolutely.
even though that's not actually like directly related to the On the Rift action, it was
The year of the LCK, perhaps, last year. Papa getting the gigantic praise. And, I mean, you were casting 6 days a week. You were talking about how, oh boy, 2 days in between Sunday and Wednesday, so the break is not that long. But, man, you used to do, like, the marathon. So many casts in a row. Still not sure how you managed that.
you survive, you know? That's just a reality. Put in a challenging environment. That was, you know, to some degree in my own creation, you survive. So this year we just get to have fun and talk about League of Legends a lot. As you can tell from this broadcast, high percentage of the Legends talk so far in this one.
Yeah, very focused.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, Kingzone don't deserve us to be talking about their League of Legends based on game number 1. They were very bad. This one's been a bit more solid from them, but is it enough when those cool items we were alluding to are starting to be put together? We're getting real aggressive.
Okay, well, 3 members under the turret. Don't even need to ult him. Very clean. Just has to flash underneath, and Smeb not able to react in time.
Karma turret dives. I like that they're using the Karma shielding and also the Yuumi detachment to get good plays. They're keeping the map split. We talked about no 5v5s allowed. Kingzone so far obliging. More gold, more of a separated map, and KT already are going to start to say, where can we get that fight we drafted for? If Kingzone can keep running them around, it'll be just like that win over IG, where they had a comp that had many ways they could lose, but they found a couple of ways that they would win.
I mean, already at 19 minutes, the Karma's knocking on the door of the inhibitor turret. That's not what you want to see if you are the KT. As Mountain is taken into Infernal next. Good Drakes there, ruled by Kingzone this time around.
And I actually really love the build from Naehyun on the Karma. You'll notice it's 2 cheap, high effectiveness early game items for Lucian, who's going to have IE Essence Reaver. He's a budget Xayah over here with this build going super high damage early. Here's the remake with all of the same. They got Guardian, Karma Shield, heals. It's going to be just fine on that one. So nice fight. Mid lane.
Okay, well, TusiN going for a bit of a walk here. Looks like he was probably trying to place wards and got caught out.
A cheap 40% CDR, mana regen, and also the power of the Ardent Sensor and the Athenes. The catch, a little bit out of context. We'll have to wait and see that one. I'm guessing a hook landed. That's probably what happened there. What is that on the ground there? It looks like one of those bugged items you get in TFT towards the left.
Yeah, what?
Oh, that's her book. That's her book.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pick up your book. There we go.
Or you mean. That does a lot of damage. SnowFlower's been taken out the whole game. And just by that pressure alone, they are able to take the mid-tier 1, so props to KingZone.
KingZone need to keep running them around, making proactive plays. Let's look at the replay of how this happened. Why did he deleash? I guess he wanted to hit. Okay, I understand it now. Wanted to reposition so that the final chapter would stun prey. KT Rolster actually counter-ganking it well. That was a really good play from the side of KT. It wasn't just a whoopsie from TusiN. They just didn't respect that there could be 2 people lying in wait to take them down.
Nice little win there for KT, but immediately clapped back by the side of KingZone.
Deft is very thoughtful with his items. You'll notice he's gone, like we mentioned, IE second. While Lucian doesn't have a true attack speed steroid, his passive kind of acts like one. But importantly, what does Ardent Sensor give you? Attack speed in the early game. So this is a very high damage burst build from the Lucian that only works if you have Ardent Sensor and a Karma in your back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, banking on the Deft carry is not a bad idea at all.
And it's the carry now. Like, there is still going to be a lot of power from Prey when he hits 2 items, but you actually pack a lot of oomph on the Lucian that could actually never have come out. If you go the old 3-item build, there's a chance you just get slammed at 2 items by KT's 2-item comp, and then it doesn't matter how many items Lucian has as a 500 range 80 carry. So Deft is always very intelligent about his items. You remember the days he was going Corrupting Potion Xayah just to get over the high mana cost to win lane as Xayah. On KT Rolster, he doesn't ever stick to one build, and I think that's the sign of a really smart player.
Yeah, you got to be able to mix it up when it does come down to it. The game kind of taking another back seat here, as it was just a couple of kills traded back and forth. KT still have 3 stopwatches for when the fight does eventually break out, and BDD is pretty stacked once again with his 2-0 scoreline. So we'll see what he can do on the Azir.
5 flashes, many different crowd controls, and like you say, 3 stopwatches. It almost feels like just further targeting Victor is what you want to do. No stopwatch, even though his flash is up. Very long lanes. You have to be so scared as Smeb. You have no vision on this side of the map, so no reason he should be caught. This is too bold.
He's way too far up here, and he's going to get stunned eventually as the flash comes forward, and he is going to die. You don't have vision in that jungle, and you're Victor. Even with your flash, you are not going to survive.
And that's where you're reminded that it's 2019 when we talk about Smeb, because I confidently say he was one of the best readers of the map as a top laner, but that was a woeful one there. Only way they could have been caught was there. Speaking of being caught, he does draw a flash out of Naehyun.
Man, after game 1, he's like, no, I'm not going to mess up. I will not die in this game. And so far, he is successful.
Pro players, usually you can rely, especially in Korea, on, okay, if we were to fall behind, if we were going to be targeted, where is it likely to be? And it was around Smeb. That's why you have to hold your hands up in the air a little bit. Doesn't ruin the game by any means, but now his summoner is down. Trader flashes with Rascal, but he has Ghost available for his next flank attempt. If KingZone can get Baron control after this Infernal goes down, that's going to be something where they'll be looking at KT potentially being actually put down into a game number 3. Here's the fresh shot, a lot of items, and a QSS for a bit more investment from Deft.
Wants to make sure he can survive up against that Nautilus and not just get stunned and burst down and not be able to dash away, which is one of the main things you want to do as the Lucian. And now we're playing the ninja game. Let's hide in the brush.
How many ninjas? There 4?
I think there's only 2 in that brush.
Oh, 2's not that great. 1 or 4 is my preference.
You don't really want to stack them, that's for sure. I mean, if we're just looking at champions, they're doing a good job with the cannon right now. But we'll have to wait and see what they do add to their composition as the game goes along.
I'm not sure about KT. They had a 3-star Azir in game number 1. It's not quite a 3-star Azir this time, so you can't expect that much damage.
You can see how, they're a team that they kind of just go for the same strat every time, but you don't really want to do that in TFT. You gotta use what the game is giving you, right? So you can't just spam the OP strat every time. You gotta say, hey, this time around I got, 3 Tristanas. I should probably build that 2-star and just go for it,
I think KT have fallen away, though. They're going back to reroll. They need to find those Azirs. They need to stack them if they're going to make that game number 1. Speaking of stacking them.
Okay, well, final chapter. It's a pretty good read here, but Kalista is going to say no. As a bunch of damage comes in. At least they have a nice amount of wave clear with the Victor that can deny some of that.
They're holding, and they've held to 2 items. In fact, it's 3 items on BDD, but it's a little bit later than where you want to actually inflict a lot of pain. So now, if Kingzone just keep going 3 lanes, because it's KT, our 9th place team, I think Kingzone is gonna, if they want to play it out smartly and to their draft, keep playing 3 lanes and wait for a mistake is actually a viable way to go. Because in the side lanes, people like Karma are very, very oppressive. The Victor does have to hold back because his flash is down. Playing at 3 lane here is probably the way to go, but KT will just say, keep your wits around you, wait. 1 team fight, and we can turn this one around.
Yeah, I mean, BDD, you really have to give him credit where credit is due. I mean, he's over 80 CS on the Karma. He has the 2 kills. He's at least a 2-star Azir this time around as we're trying to find Cuzz in the jungle. And he does a lot of damage.
Yep.
BDD is not messing around. If he can get the big engage and a masterful play, could actually turn it around.
But how do you deal with this frustrating scenario? You return to the essence of 4-1. Jam the control wards down. Azir and Kalista, great Baron takers, secure, available with the Smite and Ren combo, and you make Kingzone come to you. But if you can't push out your lanes first, maybe you lose inhibitors like we saw in game number 1 from the KT side. So the shoe is on the other foot a little bit in this game number 2. Right now, Kingzone sticking to the plan. KT changed the course of the game. Now SnowFlower's on a ward, so hard to get any value out of the depth charge.
All the pings in the top side as everybody's warning Naehyun. You don't want to go down, but a nice amount of vision. The Scuttle Crab just to see KT moving on the map.
Goes down. This is a window for KT to try a Baron, but they're not feeling confident to do it just yet. He's Smeb backing. Wonder if he's going to actually build further magic resist or just a QSS. And see what his decision is. Banshee Veil, I guess, would be very nice in this game. Doesn't help you against Lucian, but got to choose your battles.
I was just staring at his items, and I was like, why is he not buying? What's going on? And it's because he stayed in the bottom lane, didn't back yet. So still got to wait on that one to see which items he will pick up.
It's a huge CS lead in mid lane. 2 games in a row, right? BDD massively ahead. Partly because Naehyun has been running around buffing people. Partly because in the laning phase, after the few first early levels, Azir actually does really, really well into the Karma over time. Karma has gone for power now. Didn't go full AP. We had players like Crown that would definitely change between just full AP nuke Karma and also indexing into the buffing items. The buffing items that get a lot, and in terms of Drakes, they've done that, but no first Baron just yet. They can take a second Infernal, though. And there's a real chance that in Deft we trust. He's gone Bloodthirster here as his 3rd item. We very rarely see Bloodthirster before a Zeal item, Valdez, but he understands he's going to be taking chip damage from the side of the Victor and the Azir in particular, and he wants to be able to frontline, so it's kind of like he's got a Kalista build of sorts going on himself.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Zeal item. He does have the Karma in his back pocket for the extra attack speed, and he's going to be hitting like a truck, so he's getting a lot of life every single time.
And armor is what? A ninja target. So that's kind of the theory here, is that, yes, having Zeal against no armor means you do a lot of damage, but you need to be able to respect, and the most respectful choice he's found is the Bloodthirst. It's a different build than we're used to seeing. Kingzone keep waiting. There is always that worry that KT teamfight will be too powerful as the game scales on. We don't like Kingzone a straight up 5v5 without a pick to begin it. UmTi lying in wait, looking for a counter gank here. And also SnowFlower, they're setting up the play. Does Deft fall for it?
See that they have not cleared out these wards, and well, here we go. That hook is going to miss once again. TP's coming in from the side of Kingzone. Depth charge already blown here, but now it's a bit of a 5-on-5 as everybody wants to get into the action.
They're both on opposing sides. There can be a retreat for both. We'll see what KT want to do. They're walking down through some vision. They're going to try and ride the minion wave. Remember, they have a turret behind them. Kingzone's going to bait Baron. They want to stop KT from getting a free inner turret.
They force KT to come in as, okay, trying to come from behind here, but there is a ward that's pressed down. They see Rascal. They have vision on him now. They're trying to engage on the Deft, but here we go. The slicing Maelstrom into the backline does huge damage, but there's no follow-up for a very long time. But here comes Deft and Cuzz just trying to tank in the front line and do that damage, and already one of them is going to go down as TusiN is going to pick up a kill. And Bray will also go down next to UmTi, and they're just kind of cowering underneath this turret.
They can wait for cooldowns here. Remember, they have shields and heals for days.
Oh boy, Cuzz gonna try to drop that aggro with the ultimate here, and should do a very good job. Huge shields with the karma. He will bite the dust, but just eventually going to wipe the floor with KT as all 5 members gonna go down, and Kingzone are gonna go for the push.
And they actually end the game 45 seconds on BDD. There's a lot happening. TusiN, really? You missed out on the TP there. What were you doing,
TusiN.
mate? Doesn't matter. They might just end the game anyway.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's only going to be Bray and UmTi that even have a chance of coming on in here, as UmTi will spawn. And thank you, Jonas Strong, for showing us that. TusiN will not make the picture, as GG, Kingzone going to take the win here in Game 2.
No boots, no worries for the Cavs.